Did you just start it? She just started it, Sherlock. This is Sherlock. He's my latest foster dog. And you are here today for my podcast. I was going to say on the road book events, but that's not this. We're Wildflowers, and he is available for adoption. I have to tell you, Sherlock is the sweetest little guy. His mantra is eager to please. That's what he loves to do. So if you're interested, let me know at Carol Honig at carolhonig.com. Thank you. Okay, awesome. Welcome.
Hello, everyone. Welcome.
We're the Wildflowers. And guess what? We have a really wildflower with us today. This is Mickey Grossman, and he is a spiritual reader, and we're going to talk a lot about this. A medium, a psychic, and he does private readings. I'm sorry, Mickey, that I'm reading right from this, but you do a lot of things, and we actually know Mickey from when Peggy and I had Turn of the Corkscrew books and wine. And we would do events with him on Friday nights, pretty much.
We would do events, and we did very well. A lot
Yeah.
of people came because it was the most relaxing place to do readings. And
Yeah, we used
really
to sell
miss it.
out.
We
Yes.
really miss it.
Yeah, well, it was a lot of fun. So we're going to be talking to him after we do our banter and our tasting. We're not having wine today.
But it's booze.
And we'll be talking about a book. So hang in there. So come on in, Peggy.
Peggy,
Okie
get
dokes.
over here, Peggy.
She's
Who's going to pour the drinks?
That's what
I'm going to pour the drinks. Here I come.
Ta-da. We're waiting.
But you know what? This is our 10th podcast, and
Wow,
it's so cool.
10.
We have a special guest here today
Yes.
for this. And we actually have an audience member. Can you see? My daughter-in-law is here, Anya. And then we are surrounded by dogs, and you got to meet Sherlock.
Yeah. Oh, he is so cute.
Thank you.
He's just
Yeah.
so perfect, that dog.
I know.
Which he'll probably stay here.
Are you predicting?
I'm predicting. Yes.
I'm kind of
That was
leaning
my
towards the
first-
foster failure.
My first prediction of the day.
Oh,
Okay.
see that?
Yes, and you are so accurate. You know, seriously, he has just fit right in here. Like, you didn't even know that there is another.
Are you talking about Mickey or
Yeah.
Sherlock?
Okay, you're fitting right in here too, Mickey. But no, seriously,
Yeah.
we're gonna have to,
Well,
you know, keep Sherlock.
we'll see what happens.
I love
Don't
him.
discourage people from
No.
looking into adopting.
Adopting is great. Just
Yeah, no,
you know.
he's precious. But you know, this is our 10th podcast, which is awesome. I can't believe what we're doing, and we are learning a lot. We have a lot more to learn. But you know what?
Well, besides learning things about doing a podcast,
yeah,
we're learning a lot of things just by, because we pick topics.
Yes.
And every podcast, you know, like we're doing on a podcast on psychics and mediums, so I have like a whole page of stuff. I go online and I look up in books about like
That's
the difference between a psychic
Okay.
and a medium, and we're doing a ghost one next week.
Yes.
So
Oh, wow.
so I
You're around the
collected.
Halloween theme.
Yeah, so I
do that.
collected some. I used to live in a haunted house, so
Oh,
I
wow.
collected some
Okay.
stories from my siblings.
Yeah.
So you pick up on a lot. We did one on words. Look at all the new
Yeah.
words that
See,
we
that's-
learned.
well, speaking of words,
Oh,
did you do your 50 words that you were?
I did not. Case closed. It's too late.
Tell Mickey what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. last podcast.
On dictionary.com, it was a little contest, 50 words opening of a scary story, a horror story, or a sci-fi
Oh,
story.
okay.
And that's like my genre of reading. I love that stuff.
Mhm.
And I said, I think I'm going to do it. And then I didn't. I didn't do it.
But the deadline has?
Yes,
Oh,
it
okay.
did. That's all right. I could do the 50 words anyway.
You always do the 50 words, and you always say, I have a great idea for a story, or a great idea for a young adult
I'm
novel,
waiting for
but you
somebody
never
else
put
to
it
write
down.
it.
Okay,
She
well,
annoys
maybe I'll have some stories eventually we could
Oh,
talk about that I've been
good.
up with.
Yeah, very good. Yeah.
The 10 podcasts, and our audience member, if you remember anything that we talked about that you enjoyed, shout it out, let us know. But do you remember any of the particular topics that we
I
discussed?
remember the first one, which was mine, which was we talked about fear. And
Oh,
what I
yes,
liked about that
mastering
one,
fear.
mastering fear.
Okay,
And what was great is that we were able to talk about, what, fears we've conquered, fears
Mhm.
that we're still trying to conquer. And then I kind of like those topics too. You say when you research, you learn things, but we also learn about each other.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Things that we
Exactly.
didn't know.
and the most fear would be public speaking.
That's
Do you
a
find
common.
that?
Not anymore. I used
No?
to. You know what cured it for me was working at Borders.
Ah.
Really?
Yes,
Yeah.
because
We
Borders,
all met
right?
working at
At
Borders
Borders.
House
Oh,
initially.
okay.
And
Yeah.
and Carol and I used to do big book events,
Yeah.
and Peggy would do them too, where you'd have to get up and and
Engage the
engage
audience,
introduce
introduce the
them.
author.
But
What?
that is
Yeah.
a very big,
It's a big deal.
a
Yeah.
big fear, is
Yeah.
public
Yeah.
speaking.
Oh, sure.
I think what I've come across,
Well,
Yeah.
and on October 20th, I will be interviewing Nelson DeMille.
Oh, that's a big
Yeah.
one.
At,
Oh, wow.
at Madison Theater, and I've interviewed Leslie Stahl, the Little Couple, other people, and it's
Melissa Gilbert.
Melissa Gilbert. And it's funny, Mickey, because where I came from, this really small town in upstate New York, no one would have ever thought Carol, my last name was Sears, would be able to do any of this. And
Yeah.
I just,
She hit the big time.
yeah,
I think I
did.
saw you with Anne Rice. Was that?
Yes,
We had
we
Anne
did.
Rice,
Yes,
yes,
yeah,
yeah.
we hosted.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did a lot of big events
Yeah.
when we had the bookstore.
Well, I
So.
like the one podcast that we did that I didn't think we were going to get a lot of mileage out of it, but we did was the difference between enjoyment and joy. And
that was
that's-
also
that was-
mine.
and what's the difference between enjoyment and joy?
Yeah.
And we had a
Right.
really good
Yeah.
conversation.
And for the mindfulness one too, we did one on
Yes,
mindfulness. And that
mindfulness.
was,
And that was again, I thought,
Yeah.
oh, what are we going to say? And that was, well, you did a lot of research on that.
I
right?
did, I
You know,
did.
So that
Yeah,
was
it was
pretty
fun.
Peggy always does a good job with her research. She
Yeah.
really provides
Because
us
I'm
with
retired, so I have more time.
Oh, coming into retirement.
Sure to see you.
What is that
Well, I have a
word?
job and
I just do some scratch on a notepad. And say, there you go.
That's okay. You're very articulate, Judy. I wouldn't worry about that.
No, not at
So,
all.
well, the ice is melting in these
So let's
glasses,
have our
so
drinks.
let's have your drinks.
Oh,
Okay,
yes.
So
awesome.
I am today, instead of doing a wine, I'm doing a gin gimlet. It's one of my favorite drinks, even though I rarely drink it because it makes me get drunk really fast. And it's like 2 o'clock in
This'll
the
be fun.
afternoon, so I made them weak.
Oh, good.
But,
Good.
typically I'm a wine drinker.
Yeah, me too.
So there's a lot of history to this drink that I didn't even realize until I researched it.
Okay.
And it started in the 1860s with the British Royal Navy. Their sailors were getting scurvy. And when they finally realized it was the lack of vitamin C, they started giving them lime juice. That's why they're called the limeys. You ever hear the British called limeys?
Interesting.
So they used it, the lime juice, they had to learn how to preserve it because it didn't last forever. They were out on the sea. So this one particular man, he was a Scot named Lachlan Rose, as a way to preserve the wine without the use of alcohol, because originally they used to do it, like put it in rum or something for them. He came up with Rose's lime juice. Oh, I should have brought it out with me.
Oh, yeah.
It's in the refrigerator.
It's okay.
No.
Okay, but anyway, he came in, everybody's heard of Rose's. It's sweet
Yes.
lime juice.
Yes.
And that was how he preserved the lime. But somebody there, Sir Thomas Gimlet, He was a British Royal Navy medical officer. He wanted to prevent scurvy and thought plying the ranks with gin and Rose's lime juice was a good means of doing it. So, and there's
Well,
this.
you know something? I think you sold me. I will have one.
Good man.
Okie dokie, okie dokie. So anyway, I made it the
Right.
traditional way. There's a lot of variations on this. I'll just give
Okay.
you this glass with the lime in it.
Oh, okay.
There's a lot of variations on this drink. You can make it instead of Rose's lime juice. Now I think most bartenders are making it with fresh lime juice with some simple syrup, which I brought with me today too, but we're not gonna have enough time for that. And then we'll have to have 2 drinks and I'll be taking a nap over in
You
Carol's
can.
guest room. So I'll just give us each a little because I didn't make a lot.
And what's this called again?
This is called a gin gimlet.
Gin giblets.
Thank you.
And we don't want to get scurvy. That's
That's
Oh,
it,
This
exactly.
is
We're
the
not gonna get
only
scurvy.
reason why we're doing this.
Yes.
Judy?
Yeah, thank you.
There's a little water in it, so that will
That's
actually
okay.
water it down a little more.
I don't think I've ever had a gin gimlet.
Oh, I love gin
No.
gimlets.
Yeah, I don't like gin, so this will be interesting. No, not at
You
all.
don't?
No, but that's okay. I'm willing to try.
Anya, there's a little left
Even if
there.
it's a
Audience,
mix,
would you
you
like a
know.
little bit?
I'm gonna try some.
She's gonna try.
You go get a glass with some ice.
Oh, audience too.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, here's to
Cheers.
Mickey, our first
Mickey, our
Oh,
first
thank
live
you.
guest, and our
Thank
10th
you so much.
anniversary.
It's a pleasure.
Apparently, our anniversary gift is gimlets.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, it's your anniversary?
No, I'm
Oh!
Yes, and I'm
But
spending it
happy-
here with you.
Happy birthday to my brother Corey and to your
And to my
dad.
dad.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. This is
Okay.
delicious.
It's good, isn't it?
And it was my
So
niece
refreshing.
Aria's birthday too.
Oh.
So I'm getting that in
Wow.
there, even though we're a little
She
late.
doesn't want to get
Very
on
good.
camera.
It's good. This is particularly good in the summertime. It's so
Mm.
refreshing.
I love this.
Isn't it?
I really love this. Oh my God, Nyla's gonna have to make me these.
And
Oh
then
my gosh.
some other time.
sponsor.
Oh yes, I made this with Oregon Spirit dry gin. The
Oh,
recipes,
Isn't
the
this
original
great?
recipes all call for using
Ooh,
Plymouth.
I love this. I'm sorry.
The recommended gin to use is Plymouth Dry London Gin, or as a second choice, Beefeater.
This is
But I
beautiful.
rarely use one of those gins for
I have
anything
that
because
one
I
at
like the
home.
whole
I have
different.
Beefeater.
I like I drink one at home called Bar Hill. It's called it has honey in it. So but I borrowed this from my son-in-law. I said, "Do you have any dry gin?" And it turns out I actually bought it for him anyway. So
So this is like I could order this at the
Could you give me that so
bar
it's
or
not
at a
in the
wedding or something.
Does
I'll have
anybody
gin
need a little
giblets.
more?
Yes.
No.
Margarita.
What'd you say?
It tastes a little like a margarita to me.
Oh.
Yeah.
well,
And
the
that's tequila.
lime in it.
Wait, and you don't have the tequila.
I'll
It really
smooth it.
tastes like a summer, nice
Yeah,
summer
it's a
drink,
nice refreshing.
right?
Let's get
Oh, yeah.
Did you
Or
have a gin
whatever.
gimlet? Because I'm gonna drink it, but I'm not loving it.
You don't like it.
I'm getting used to
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, that's the thing. I like a gin gimlet best after, because I take tiny sips of it. Because let's
Right.
face it, it's mostly alcohol. And as the ice starts melting, and then I have my little straw and I stir it, it gets
Where's your
milder.
straw? You
I
need-
don't know.
We need to get
I
you a
don't know.
straw. Yeah, that's the last straw. And then
that's
bada boom.
No, it's not. There's plenty of
That was
straws.
like.
So anyway,
Oh no, no, this is.
Okay, all right.
that's it. So now,
That was very good.
well, I'm glad everybody liked it,
And
except for
very
Cameron.
good.
The first hard liquor of the.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
this is, now we know why because we did just change the name of our channel, because now it's called Wildflowers Podcast, Books, Booze, and Banter. There you go.
There we go.
So,
And we're not changing it yet.
Is it YouTube too?
Yes, it's
It's
Oh, you're on-
YouTube and Buzzsprout.
And Buzzsprout.
Okay.
yeah,
alright.
it can be
Yeah.
audio and video.
Okay.
Yes, so I'll definitely send you the
Let me
link.
just check something here.
So Peggy's checking something and then we'll make sure. Okay?
I'm a little
So I guess-
paranoid with the camera every time somebody walks past it. One podcast, Mickey, like, Judy and I were missing an arm through the whole thing.
Yeah, my Lewis knocked into it a little bit and it just, oh God.
We're so basic.
Yeah, we are.
So what happens when this ends?
You disappear.
Keep losing one.
That's it?
You get raptured.
Okay.
No, I keep an eye on it so that we don't run out of time on the camera.
Okay.
Okay, so
Oh,
now,
so that's
very
the
good.
length of the cap.
because I don't have a video camera, I have a camera that has video on it.
Okay,
By law, some kind of tariff law,
yeah.
my camera on video at 29 minutes and 59 seconds is going to shut off.
Okay.
So then we
Which
shut it.
we found out the hard way.
Yes, I had no
Our first
idea. I had to do
podcast.
research on that too. I said, what is wrong with my camera? The first podcast. But I have a program that it splices everything together.
Okay.
So we stop it and then we restart it.
Okay.
So Judy's turn this week for the book.
Yes, and I finished reading The Other Einstein, and this is by Marie Benedict. So I know, and this is actually one of the first books, now not you, Mickey, because I know you haven't read this, but this is the first book I think we'll talk about where we've all read it. Because I know,
I read
Yeah.
it years ago.
yes, and I didn't know that when I picked up the book,
Yeah.
so I think that's
Yeah.
kind of cool.
And it's based on his real first wife.
Do you want to talk? Or
No.
you want to hear something?
Oh, look who's talking.
No, and so thank you, Megan.
Just in case you didn't pick that up while you were reading
I got all the way
that
to the end. I go, what is this book about? You know? Jeez, I mean, now light bulb goes off.
That actually happens to me sometimes. What was that book about?
Well, this book came out in 2016. It's by Source Books Landmark. And Marie Benedict is the author, although her real name, that's a pen name, her real name is Heather Benedict Terrell, and she's a lawyer.
Mhm.
And I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
You didn't,
We
huh?
hosted
No, I didn't. So
Didn't
you're
know,
one
did
up
you?
on me.
She's got a bunch of other books. This
We
is
hosted her, you know.
Oh,
we
I
did.
didn't know
For
that.
the literary tea, right?
Yeah, she was the
Oh.
literary tea
Uh-huh.
at Madison
Oh,
Theater.
very nice. I did not know that.
Very lovely person.
Oh,
Go
just
ahead.
briefly, she's got a few other books that called The Carnegie's Maid, The Only Women in the Room, and most recently, The Mystery of Mrs. Christie. So,
Oh, I like
That's
that.
her most
That one I
recent book.
didn't read. I think I read all the other ones.
So
I
yeah,
like
that's
the
okay.
Carnegie's
The
Maid.
Carnegie
Oh, you're right.
Maid.
That's
Yes, I did.
Didn't they make a movie out of that too?
I don't
I don't
know,
know.
but
Well,
it's
it's just
they
the
have
summer.
the mesmerizing tale of what
This
kind
one,
of woman
yeah.
could have inspired an American dynasty. That's
Yeah.
the Carnegie's
Mhm.
Maid. Anyway, so the other Einstein the main character, it is about Albert Einstein's wife, his first wife, Mileva Marek was her name. And also the other main character obviously is Albert Einstein. And what I liked about this book, oh, first of all, one thing, Einstein. Do you remember what it means? The name Einstein.
Brainy.
No.
All I can say is something so generic, E equals MC squared.
No, Einstein equals one stone in the language. That's what it means, the name. So I just thought it was kind of interesting.
Equals one stone.
No, one stone. The word Einstein
Oh, okay.
translates to one stone.
Oh, okay.
And so I thought that was
Oh,
kind of
okay.
cool. And she has a line in the book that even though they're one stone, because it's a theme he has, he goes, when she took his name, she becomes him. So basically, whatever she does, he does. And this is the, he adopts. And there's a kind of a running theme. And so he would use that line to say, well, we're one stone, so it's okay if only my name goes on research
Okay.
or anything. We're one stone. But what she found out is that even though they're one stone, there are two hearts, and
Yeah.
so very interesting. And I just kind of had there were a lot of themes about it. First of all, this was pieced together by reading letters and papers authored by Einstein and his wife, and they are there's a collection of them, and it's at the Einstein Papers, I believe. And she lists the listing in here, so if you wanted to research that on your own, I thought that would be interesting. But I never knew who she was, and it raises the question of, would we even know the man, Albert Einstein, if there was not this extraordinary woman? Because she was a very bright, to her own right. She was of Serbian descent, and she was a physicist and a mathematician, and she met Albert in class. She was the only woman in the class, and she was brilliant. She was absolutely brilliant, and she kind of, put her, she became, she put her goals aside to
Right.
further
Right.
him,
Typical.
which is what a lot of
Yeah,
women
yeah.
do.
They still
Um,
do it.
and there's a line here. It goes, her story was in many ways the story of many intelligent, educated women whose own aspirations were marginalized in favor of their spouses. And I believed it was time that stories such as these were told. And that's when the author, put this forward. And I loved reading it. It took me a while to get into it. To be honest, it didn't hook me right away. I have to say, I do like a book that hooks me right away. But the last 100 pages I did,
Right.
devour. I read them in the last 100 pages in a day. Really,
Wow.
it was just, to get through it.
Right.
But the theme that I like to know as well is, here she was, educated woman, physics, mathematics. Her involvement is in her success. Most notably, the theory is that his famous theory of relativity was her idea. They wrote the paper together.
Yeah.
And he, when it was submitted to the physics journal, he removed her name. And she became furious. And he was able to, because he actually worked, she came up with that theory while she was mourning their daughter. And it was her way of trying to recapture, some, in memory of her daughter, some memories of, and she felt that he erased her. And that paper is essentially what propelled him to fame and ultimately won the Nobel Peace Prize, which she ended up getting all the money for in the divorce.
Oh, good.
Because it
Well,
was
good for her.
it was his
Right.
it was her, essentially what they're saying, it was her idea, and she
Yeah.
she did all the math for the paper and
Wow.
everything. But another thing, some things I just thought people might like to know, it's not just about Einstein. I thought the themes that I picked out which were interesting was and it runs throughout the novel, can intellectual women how they can be intellectual in their field can still be very naive socially.
Yeah.
And that's what happens a lot of the time,
Yeah.
and you really are that, and then because they have a hard time adjusting to society and also are very isolated, which was another theme. There's a lot of isolation with being so intelligent sometimes, or
Yeah.
just being not
Especially
interested.
back in her day, because there
Absolutely.
weren't that many
But-
women
Sure.
who were in
But
Yes.
you
this
could
field.
also say the same thing for men. Or
In what
socially.
way? Let's get your perspective.
Well,
Definitely
because
on this.
if somebody is very bright like that, they may have no social, and be good socially.
That's true.
And in this way, it kind of played out in this book because, the men were, that she was with, Einstein and all of the colleagues, they would they would socialize together. They'd have after the schooling, they'd have their cafes, they'd form their thinking clubs and all that. But in her days, and even I think kind of now, I feel like, if you're not interested as a woman, let's say, in the small talk, not to just, you don't want to sit around talking about desperate housewives, or you want to have some conversation of substance, which is hard to find amongst a group, which is why I like this group of women, because we talk about real things, whereas a lot of women that I find is like, we can spend hours talking about stupid things, and I become more drained at the end of a night of small talk than I do leaving here,
Yeah.
and it becomes very mind-numbing.
It's
To
work
a lot of
too.
people.
It's like you
a
try
lot
to think of stupid things.
and then you get labeled as not that I'm trying to equate it, I'm this great intellect, because I'm not, but I'm just trying to say it becomes kind of odd. Like here's one. This is from a scene where she had just reconnected with her fellow roommate, who was also an intellectual. They're both married. They were separated for a long time. Helene. They reconnected on a short trip. Now they're facing the idea of parting again for God knows how long. And this thought, she goes, to return to a life of housework and the blank eyes of other housewives, women who found us odd and too academic for their household cares.
Yeah.
And it's like, I kind of know what that feels like in a way too, and I think you guys can.
It depends on the community that you live in, and the community of people that, like through school, that you're kind of forced to interact with. And like I always found that with the PTA.
I was
like,
just gonna say
God,
Exactly.
I can't go to these meetings.
Or just,
Yeah.
absolutely, and just that environment with them, it's like, okay, enough.
Causes
you
you
know.
to drink.
What struck me in that novel, because it's historical
Yes.
fiction, but it's based on real people, real things that happened. As you say, there were a lot of letters between them. He was so cruel to her,
Yes.
and that book made me admire him much less than I used to. I thought very poorly of him after the way he treated her. He kind of abandoned her. He like she would go to see him and get on a train, and she was handicapped. She had a club foot.
She had a
Oh,
club
that's
foot.
right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
She addresses that. She says the purpose of the Other Einstein is not to diminish Albert Einstein's contribution to humanity and science, but to share the humanity behind his scientific contribution. It aims to tell the story of a brilliant woman whose light has been lost in Albert's enormous shadow.
Yeah, so he was a genius, but he was a dick.
But he never met his first child. He never met his first child, and
I
she
know.
died of scarlet fever when
Yeah.
she was a year and a half. He
I know.
refused to go meet her, and
didn't she beg him to
Oh.
come and
absolutely.
So
was
what
kind
was
of
the
not
outcome?
nice.
This is his first wife?
This is his first wife, and he really mistreated her and took advantage of. They authored many papers. Many, and even his first invention, the Machinique, or I forget how you pronounce it in German, which is now, it was used in a lot of laboratories at the time and adopted. She got no credit for any of that, and it's really sad. But the last theme I thought of, which I think we could all relate to as we become older, is also her fear, which was his fear apparently too, of becoming redundant. The fear of redundancy, becoming a Philistine is what they used to say, and trying to, and that brought us back to how it's hard to find good conversations and how you should never stop learning or trying new things. With hence our podcast.
I was
which
just
we're
doing
doing.
this is something
Something new,
yeah.
because when you don't learn and you don't try anything new, in a way it's just atrophy.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
you're
Well,
everything.
look, that we did that with the bookstore too. I mean, we were both in our 60s,
Yeah. Yeah.
and we said, let's open up a bookstore.
And I was like, yes, go do it.
But we don't regret doing it.
No, we
You know,
lost
it's-
a lot of money, but we don't regret. We got like 2 minutes left.
Oh, yes,
Real
we-
quick, I want to just say, I read her other book, The Only Woman in the Room, and that's based on a true story of Hedy Lamarr. And I did not realize how she was a beautiful actress, but how intelligent she was and what she had to do to get out of the situation that she was in. And it was during the Holocaust and all of
Yes.
that. So
Yeah.
it was.
The catchline
she-
to that is she possessed a stunning beauty. She also possessed a stunning mind. Could the world handle both?
Right. And it was
She
very
was
good.
really, I feel, one of the most beautiful
Yeah.
women in
It's-
Hollywood.
It's amazing. So so Marie Benedict, we're rooting for
And
you.
she
Yes.
invented all those,
Exactly.
for the war.
She absolutely
Exactly.
In fact, something today can be traced back to her.
Absolutely.
They used.
Absolutely.
She was brilliant.
She was
brilliant.
brilliant.
She was in a relationship. She was married to a German sympathizer.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So you
Yeah.
read the book.
I know her about her.
You know her. Oh,
Yeah.
that's
And,
awesome.
yeah, it was very interesting.
All
Very
right. So
interesting.
listen, we're going to come back. And we're going to hear more from Mickey because we're going to have questions
Yes.
for him.
Now you're
so
up.
Yes,
Now
we
please,
do.
please come on back. All right.
I'll have a sip again.
I can make some more if you like.
Okay. All right, we're back.
Yay! We're back.
Get over
Now,
here,
get ready for a wild ride.
This is new for us, actually.
Yes.
We've never had a guest here.
Oh,
right.
the first guest.
You
Yes.
are our
Oh,
first
yes.
guest.
Great.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And it's
Yeah.
my topic today.
Yes,
and,
it
and
is.
I am so glad that you want to join us for
Oh, it's a
Talking-
pleasure that I'm here.
well, this is Mickey Grossman again that we said earlier that how we met him was through the bookstore. And we want to get right into it because I have a feeling this is going to be a long conversation. We got a lot to cover. So my first question to you, Mickey, is number one, do you consider this a gift that you have?
A gift is a tough thing to say, because if I say it's a gift, people go, yeah, okay, all right. I think it's just something I acquired. They talk about this near-death experience that people have had. I was never into any of this stuff growing up. you know, but I did have chickenpox pneumonia when I was about 32. And I did see that light. I was in intensive care, and I was going, because back then they didn't know what to give you to fix it. I saw that light they talk about. I didn't find it comforting though. You know, I had two small children at the time.
Right.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah.
And I went to Catholic school.
Okay.
And when I was a kid, I bought my mother a statue of the Blessed Virgin, okay, maybe in 2nd or 3rd grade. And they weren't that religious. I'm from a mixed background. And she came in the next day, and I saw the Blessed Virgin. I swear to you, I did see that statue, that look. And she was going like this with the hands, and I screamed no, you know.
Oh, okay.
I did, I remember.
Yeah.
And the nurse came in, she says, "What's the matter?" And I said, no, I just had a strange dream, you know. And she said, "Well, I just want you to know that they found an antibiotic that's working for both of your, you know, things, you're getting better." Not that I jumped out of bed. But the next day my mom came to visit, you know, to see me. I was in intensive care, and she said, "Mick, remember that statue that you bought me?" She goes, "I took it out, and you know the Pope blesses candles. She's
Yes.
in Rome." So she said, "And I lit the candle in front of that statue, and I prayed you'd get better." So I did get better.
Wow.
Right.
Okay, like I said, I had a great job in Manhattan. Okay, I dealt with a lot of celebrities. 6-7 months later, I was in a party atmosphere, and someone introduced me, and it was like looking at a video. And I happened to say to somebody, introduced me to this lady, and I said, "Oh my gosh, you know, are you okay? You know, you fell in the subway coming up the steps." And she said, "Oh my God," she goes, "I was so embarrassed. My dress went up and everything." I didn't take the subway.
Wow.
So all of a sudden I was meeting people and I was seeing things. But
Yeah.
not like, you know, like specifics.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So of course
So
if
did that
anything
take you
new,
by surprise that you knew that? Was that the first thing that you ever were able to see?
I don't know if it did or not.
Yeah.
I'm being honest with you.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, if somebody says that you're a dancer or you're a writer, for some reason you're going to always meet dancers and writers.
Right.
All of a sudden my whole life opened up and I started meeting psychics.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm
That's
saying?
right.
Really?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I'm serious.
Uh-huh. No,
And,
that's true.
And there is a way to shut it off. You know what I'm saying?
That was
Yeah.
a question my
Yeah,
daughter
so
had.
you can shut it off. Like I didn't walk in here and I'm reading everyone.
Right.
It's almost like I put myself in like if I'm going to read someone, it's almost like a self-hypnosis kind of, where I could block everything out, do you know?
Right.
And I call myself a spiritual reader because what I do is I focus on the energy that comes from you. So I'm not, when I do a reading, what I'm really doing is picking up your energy, and whatever you feel that you should be doing, I'm kind of picking that up. Like say, you know, you got a job coming in 2 weeks or something, you already know that. So I'm kind of verifying where you don't know me, and I'm kind of verifying things.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm saying?
So you're not a medium, like you don't,
Look.
the dead people don't tell
Okay.
you what's going on.
So what I do, like I said, when I concentrate your energy, all right, I always start off a reading with if I feel there's any energies around you, okay?
Oh,
That energy
Oh, okay.
is normally a family member, okay?
Somebody who's
Yeah,
passed.
because my belief is when we pass, you have 3 choices. You could either go to heaven if you believe in that, okay? Or you can stay around some people you love for a while, and then I feel that we're like electricity, and our electricity just goes on. It could go into past new lives and new lives and new lives, okay? And so we really never, I don't think our energy really goes, but
Right,
you do have
right.
a choice. And yes, I do feel, if I feel an energy like your mother behind you or something, I'll say, well, there's somebody that's around that wants it, you know. But
Right.
I never, when I listen to some of the other people, the mediums, they never really say much. What are you asking? Oh, they love you. I'm telling you, your mother loves
Yeah.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You
and
know,
that,
well,
yep,
Mom, how come they're so They never
Right.
say anything.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you know?
yeah.
So
I-
I
yeah, I
really
do.
kind of back up from that. Do you know?
Yeah.
And I'm very like I used to have parties. I had about 30 readers work for me at hotels and stuff. I love them, but they're very far out there. I'm not out there. Do you know?
Right.
No,
I
I
believe
mean, like
I
psychic
believe-
fairs you're talking
Yeah,
about? Like a
I
psychic
believe
fair?
in reality. They go by
Uh-huh.
the moon is in this thing and the moon's that.
Yeah.
You know, I like to talk to reality. My clients normally like to come to me for that.
Right.
So you don't
I have
use
a lot of
any
men.
tools?
What?
You don't use any
Nothing.
tools, and like you don't have to touch
No.
something that
No,
belongs to them, or
nothing.
use any cards or
No,
anything.
I started like that.
Oh, you did. Okay.
Not cards. Cards is, if you gotta read, anybody could read cards. There's books. You had books in the store.
Yeah.
Anybody
have-
could learn how to read
I have the
books.
tarot
Yes.
cards.
So you got a card,
Right.
this means that, alright?
Right.
A good reader will just use that as like a tool to put their own psychic energy in it. Do you
Right.
understand? But no, I don't. I started out, it's called dichometry, where I would hold somebody's piece of jewelry.
Okay.
You have to learn it. You have to learn like you learn to sing. You know, it's a learning process.
Right.
I believe. Now it's interesting when I was at a cousin's party recently, and I never knew this. And one of my older cousins said to me, goes, you know, when you were young, your mother always used to tell us that you used to say things that she didn't know where it came from.
Oh.
So I don't know. This is the first
Yeah.
time I heard that.
Wow.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I do remember as a kid, 10, 11, I know it sounds crazy, but I always remember, I could always tell if there was going to be a plane crash. Isn't that
Oh.
strange?
Yeah, that's very strange
Yeah.
and scary
For
for
some
a kid.
reason,
Yeah.
no, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
that's as far as it went.
Mhm.
Right, right.
I do not read my family, I do
Yeah.
not read my friends, okay?
Yeah.
Now, is that because you tell them that if they ask you to, you say, no, I just won't do it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'll tell you what, they're the worst clients in the world. Because if it doesn't happen,
Yes.
they're at you all the time.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
it's very, like my daughter or, my children, it's very hard to, I don't really want to know.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
The only where it does work, if my daughter's seeing someone that I really don't like, not psychically, but I'll say, remember, your father's psychic.
That's-
This guy's wrong. You know what I mean? So that's
Yeah, I
where
like
it does
that.
kind of work.
So how do you deal with it if you're wrong? Like how do you come across that? To
I'm not
portray
God.
that? Yeah.
I'm not, I tell people, you can change anything I said to you.
Mhm.
It's in your hands, right?
Yeah.
Right.
My clients, I'll tell you just a little background, because they've been probably to her, okay?
Okay.
I would say, unfortunately, I'm not being sexist, but it's mostly 85% women.
Yeah.
And it's 85% about relationships, okay? Because if your heart is broken, a broken heart is worse than having cancer, because you can't get over it. It takes so long to get over.
Yeah, but you don't die of it, so.
No, well, let me tell you, some people are at
Yeah.
an edge,
Yeah.
Some
okay?
people do, I
Seriously.
think so.
It's
Yeah.
very difficult if somebody's really can't move on.
Right.
They've been to their friends don't want to hear about it anymore.
Right.
They'll go, oh, just go out, you'll be better, okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Then they'll go to a therapist, all right? And the therapist may say, well, why do you feel abandonment because you were 8 years old and your mother called you an idiot? This could be why. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they're going to come to me and the psychic's going to tell them that you're going to be back with this person and be happy forever. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm that last hope.
Yeah.
But there's a way to talk with people like that. As she
Yeah.
was trained in a therapist, I'm also a psychiatric social worker. So you know how to talk to people in a way.
Yeah.
If a woman comes or a man comes, am I being cheated on? You can't say, yes, your husband's cheating, she's beautiful or something.
Yeah.
Why would you do that to someone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you could say like, something, I think your marriage could be worked a little better,
Mm-hmm.
do you know?
Right.
And I kind of feel if it doesn't work out, I kind of feel that I see somebody else in the future that you'll be very happy with,
Yeah.
okay?
And now, do you really see that, or are you just trying to guide them to that direction?
Both. Both.
One of my
Because
questions.
there's a lot of people that couldn't handle if I said something like this is
Yeah.
done and over.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do that. I'm not God.
Yeah.
And you could change. I could tell you you're gonna not be with this person, and you could call me tomorrow and say, guess what? We're getting married.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. One of my questions that I had, because I remember when you used to do the readings at the bookstore, sometimes you used to do them in the children's room,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes you did them in that little office there. And I would be right outside that office, and I used to hear you talking to people, and to me, you were like their therapist. And they walked away from there feeling good because they were able to talk to you about things that are really bothering them. And I thought to myself, Mickey is like a therapist to
Well,
these people.
let me. A lot of people say, I don't have to go to my therapist for 10 sessions after they just spoke to
Yeah.
me. And I'm not putting myself
Yeah,
up there, okay? But I'll get to the point that whatever they're thinking is what I'm feeling, so they know
Right.
they're not out there.
right.
So it doesn't take a long time. So that a lot of people, yes, will say that to me.
I think you
You
can
know?
say
Yeah.
that a lot about the
Isn't that-
comedians because I know, like my husband and I will sit around sometimes watch like the Long Island Medium. You know, that's a
Yeah.
big one going on. At least
Right.
it
Yeah.
was because I don't know if she's still around.
No, I don't
Yes,
think
she is.
she's.
Oh, is she?
Yeah.
And you know, we'd have the typical conversations like, "What do you think? Is that real? What do you
Yeah.
go to it?"
Uh-huh.
But I said, you know what, Niall is my husband. I said, if she's fooling everybody, whatever, who is she hurting? She seems to be, at the end of the day, these people are come across
Yeah.
very happy, more at peace, and I
It's
said, what
comforting
does it
to a lot
matter,
of
you know,
people.
in that way? And
I
don't
just
know.
can't. I just can't. I don't know what they say. That is so. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well,
That's
I-
my problem.
You don't know what's
Yeah.
what I
What?
was.
Like in other words, with her, I mean, she's
Oh, okay.
great because she's different. She's Long Island. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
Mhm.
She made psychics she made what I do kind of mainstream.
Right.
Otherwise, we were
Before her, it
gypsies
was
and
like
freaks.
James Von Prague,
Yeah,
did that
well,
big
we were
events or
gypsies and
whatever.
freaks.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not a freak.
No,
you know, I'm a
yeah,
regular
yeah,
person.
Yes, right.
You know, and that can talk. She made it kind of, something, a business. She really
Yeah.
did. So I have
Yeah.
to give her that.
Well, here I
Yeah.
have a question for you, and you said you kind of came to this later on, but maybe you had some sort of instincts here with the girls. But do you think it's something latent in everybody, and that anybody could really kind of stumble or
Yeah, I
develop
think
this?
I think anyone that can concentrate, put their mind to it, yeah. Because I teach exercises and stuff that you can do. It's intuition.
Yeah.
If you're, I would say that, in other words, if like our audience member is a
Anya.
is
Social work.
a social worker, okay, I'm sure she could be taught to be. She could read somebody if they sit right down.
Right. Right.
Do you understand?
Yeah, it's being
sometimes-
No, I'm
empathetic.
serious.
A lot of
If
it.
you're
No, I
intuitive,
understand
I
it.
do.
You can.
It's empathy
I
and
go-
it's having those skills.
I could
of
go a
people
little deeper.
Skills.
Right.
You know, because sometimes, like, I'll shock myself where a name will come, or and I'll go and I'll say to the client, like, "Are you serious? Like, where did this come from? You know, how do I know that? Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean?"
Yeah.
Well, my
So-
daughter, my younger daughter, she's always been very on edge about all this because people have told her that she has the gift, and she just says, "Oh no," like
Yeah.
she just refuses.
Okay.
Because
I
it's
think people
scary to
have
her.
to be open to it. My sister
Absolutely.
Nora is very open to it. So like she actually has had experiences with some of our relatives that have passed, and to more of an extent that I have. That's for another discussion. Our next podcast is about ghosts.
Well, then a lot of people say, "Well, then I get the negative. Oh, you're psychic. Why can't you give me the lotto?"
Right, yeah.
You know what I
I
mean?
know. That's
It
just.
doesn't
I'm
work.
just
Yeah.
about a lie. I get that
Well,
a
that's
lot.
why I invited you today.
Yeah, but it's true. You know
Just
what I mean?
write them
It's
down.
You know
powerful
what?
tonight.
Guess what? Why can't I? The only thing
I
that
know.
bothers me, you know, if
I-
I could tell somebody I never met before their father's last name or something, why can't I get the lotto? Isn't
Yeah.
that crazy?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Well,
I can understand why, you know.
Well,
to-
that's randomness anyway, Lotto.
Mm.
That has nothing to do with.
Now, we were talking before,
spirituality.
you know, we started this camera, you know, before we
Mhm.
went on, a little bit about COVID and our experiences during that time. And during the time when we couldn't all be in the same room, did you do readings over video, or do you have to be with the person?
Oh
to
no,
read
it was
energy?
all phone readings.
You
and
did it?
Zoom.
Oh, so you,
yeah.
you could feel
I
the
had
energy even
there
over
was
the...
a podcast
Oh,
that I
You're
was
asking
doing.
all my questions. I'm impressed.
Oh, I'm
Well,
sorry.
you have them right here. No, I'm joking. I can't read that. I need my glasses
Oh,
on.
yeah.
No, I'm glad you're asking.
My first reading, I like to see them in person the first time, okay? But I don't have to because now with technology, you have Zoom and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, you probably had clients with Zoom, right?
Well, I can't. I work in a dialysis unit,
Oh, I'm
so I
sorry.
had to.
Okay,
Yeah.
so yes, I was actually very busy, you know,
Yeah.
because nobody had anything to do, so they probably
Yeah,
figured
just
let me
give it-
talk to
yeah.
the psychic.
No,
so,
I saw on because I was looking you up and I saw that you do a lot of readings at Dolphin
Yeah, he
Bookstore
was
now,
talking
right?
about that before.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's
But
pretty
it's
cool.
not like your store.
Oh, no?
There was
I
nothing
love
like your store.
That
Yeah.
store
Well, it's set
was
up
It was a
differently.
bookstore
Yeah.
with a wine
I still
bar.
get
It was
people that
awesome.
ask,
Yeah.
"Oh, are you going to be in Rockville Centre?" I said, "What are you talking about?" You know? But it was
They're
just a
obviously not
beautiful,
psychic.
and it was a really nice
Oh, I love that.
energy in
Yeah.
that place.
Thank
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah,
It really
yeah,
was.
It used to be an angel store before
was?
we
Yeah.
went
Oh,
in
I
there.
see.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just great.
Yeah.
I miss that.
I know. I have
you
a
know?
question, but I know you had one, so you ask yours first.
I'm trying to remember what oh, I know. Okay, so I know that you say you're a spiritual advisor. So this might be a little out of the bailiwick of that, but do you feel like dogs have an energy for?
Oh my gosh,
Yes,
Thank
of
you.
course.
absolutely.
Oh my
Because-
God,
because
that is yes.
Because when, not long at all after my father-in-law passed
Mhm.
away, I wasn't a huge fan of him.
Mhm.
He wasn't the nicest man, but anyway, my Cocker Spaniel looked at the corner of my
Mhm.
living
Is
room.
it Scout?
Scout.
Yeah.
And had this low growl.
Mhm.
And she didn't do that. I
She-
knew that dog.
Let me
Yeah.
explain something about animals, okay?
Yeah.
Animals don't, especially your home pets or something that you love, they don't, when they pass, they don't have to be judged by anyone. They don't
Right.
have to go to purgatory or anything.
Mhm.
They stay around us.
Well,
Okay.
she knows that for a
And
fact.
a lot of people say, some people say that when you pass over that your relatives meet you and all that. That's all very nice. I love my parents. But I don't want to see my dead
Yeah.
parents.
Right.
But a lot of your animals, I believe, pass, take you over. There's nothing like a love for an animal.
Oh,
That
yeah.
bond.
Yeah.
That's a psychic bond.
Mhm.
Okay? You can't have that with a person or a child. There's something special. I'm serious.
No,
Well, it's true
Okay.
because you don't have that verbal communication
Right.
with
Now
them
I'm
or
going to tell you a
anything.
quick little story. This little dog here,
Yeah.
okay?
I'll hold this up.
Yeah.
And I'll take a picture
And
of
what's
that
the
flyer.
dog's name?
Her name was Angel, okay?
Oh,
Aw.
This dog
Beautiful.
would not kiss anyone, okay?
Mhm.
Only my son. My son didn't live home. My son would come in, this dog would go crazy kissing him,
Mhm.
okay? When she passed, we got another one, same like her, and we said, let's see what happens when my son comes in, okay? My son walked in, this dog did not stop kissing his face.
oh,
The new
wow.
So I think that energy, I know as far as ghosts, but I would see like a wisp of her go by. I know it was her.
Yeah.
I'm
Judy's
telling
had-
you, it's
Judy's
like a
had-
white
yeah.
wisp.
Judy's
You know,
had that,
you used to
absolutely.
talk about ghosts. I've felt ghosts, and I've been in homes where But as far as animals, I still feel, and once in a while I'll feel her in the house. If you have someone that passed, the dogs, their energies are still there. They don't leave us. I feel.
Well, I told the energy, because when the Scout did not like us, and I couldn't see anything, but I just said, you have to leave now.
Hmm.
You can't stay here. And after that,
It was gone.
it was gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know where they go. What happens when
I
you
didn't care
kiss
as long
them?
as he was
Okay.
out.
All right. Okay.
My question was, and also because we
You
might
know,
have
you're
some-
very psychic, by the way.
Yes,
I
thank
just
Yes.
want to tell you, because
Thank
I
you.
read auras also, and you have a lot of bright lights around your head. That means that three things: either you're psychic, there's somebody spiritual that watches over you, that could be religious, or you just have, you know, that little gift.
She knows she does.
I
Oh,
do,
really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
I didn't,
so
and
then-
I didn't mention this to him before. And
Yeah.
Okay,
No,
so-
no, oh no.
But what I had to click, because we do have a lot of our viewers, all of our tens and tens of viewers, and yeah, we always make that joke, that are religious, and we, you know, I know you
Mhm.
mentioned you were brought up in the Catholic
Mhm.
faith, I think, but you might have had a mix, I think, in back, you know, I was raised Catholic, Peggy was, you were raised Christian, basically.
Yeah,
I
well,
was-
she was raised Catholic
Sort
and
of.
Methodist.
I was raised Catholic, and my father was Jewish,
Yeah.
and during confirmation, they said Michael Grossman. Don't forget that. I'll never forget that. I was in the cathedral, and everyone laughed, and
I
you
didn't
know, it was
think they would.
horrible.
Yeah.
I was part of a Baptist church for a number of years,
Oh,
and the youth pastor was Cohen. His last name was Cohen.
There you
So-
go.
so-
But
So-
you know, in the what I was leaning towards is because I know people you know, if you're really like devout or following, you're not supposed to
Right.
have this sort of
It's
participation.
evil. It's the devil.
Yet I think some of probably, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think probably some of your biggest supporters probably do come from a faith base too, like
Oh, yeah.
because I know my mother, you know, is of that mindset, and she's very Catholic minded. And how do you rectify that in your mind, or how have you come to terms or accepted? Like, do you see it being at odds with the church, or do you see it being just something, you know, or maybe you haven't thought about it at all? But I'm just wondering.
Okay, I could say this. I'm very good friends with one of the Monsignors. I'm not mentioning the places,
Okay.
and he
No,
knows
no, we don't do
exactly
names.
what
Yeah,
he does,
yeah.
Yeah.
and no
Yeah.
problem with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
You know,
Yeah,
I
that
don't
never,
have a problem with
that
that.
never even
Yeah.
made any sense to me because
Right.
especially in
I don't have a problem. If you
Catholicism,
feel
they
that
believe
way-
in an afterlife and
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
know,
if
spiritual
somebody's
world.
going like this to me,
Right, right.
you
Yeah.
know, okay,
Right.
don't come to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I just remember I had, you know, I remember being, because I went to Catholic school all the way up, and
Me too.
yeah, and you know, the nuns would be like, and I remember them saying something about like psychics and fortune, and that's you're committing a sin, and yet, you know, probably my mom was taking my dad's sisters that evening or that year to go to a psychic, you know, to find something out, and
It's
I'm like,
intuitive.
are they gonna
Yeah.
go to hell? Like, you know, they just kind of.
Well, when Carol and I had the bookstore, we had booked George Anderson
Mhm.
Oh,
to
yeah.
do an event, and we booked him in Malloy College, which is a Catholic
University.
university.
Yes, you know,
That's
right.
And we
surprising.
had already sold like 60 something tickets, and all of a sudden from the director Angelo got in touch with us and said, Peggy, sorry, the board is pulling it.
That
You
happened
can't
to me
do
with
it.
them.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
They hired me to do an event there,
Yeah.
and I was all set to go, and they called me up and they said, "I'm sorry,
Yeah.
we
So
can't
what
do
do
it."
you think? I mean, like you say, you have a friend who's a Monsignor who says fine, but yet you have
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think
What's
he's
the
gonna. I don't know if
conflict,
he's gonna
you know?
stand up on the pulpit and say
Yeah.
your psychics are great.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Mm, right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I really
I
don't
know.
care.
So then we had a scramble. We already
Yeah.
sold tickets.
No, that
We had a
happened to me
scramble.
there with Malloy because my daughter went to college there,
Yeah.
and they were having a fundraiser, and I wasn't gonna charge. I
Yeah,
was doing it for
just
their
gonna-
fun,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I said, "You gotta be kidding me."
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know?
no, yeah, they're
Wow.
very, yeah, they're
Yeah.
very clear about it.
Yeah.
It's okay. What are
Yeah.
you gonna do?
Yeah.
Now,
You know?
have you lost any friends or family because of you taking on this new role since you've been?
Not that I didn't want to lose them to be honest.
That's a great
But no, I
answer.
can't
Yeah.
say that there's been anyone that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, really, I don't.
That's so
no.
funny.
No, you know, I come from like I said, a mixed crowd. I had my Italian side, a lot of tough guys, you know, from the Bronx, you know, my client, my cousins and stuff.
Yeah.
So I was Mickey's psycho. And say,
Oh, okay.
it's all right. You know, I've
Yeah.
been neighbors and say,
Yeah.
oh, you're psycho, or, okay, great. You know,
Yeah.
when the money goes in the pocket,
That's
you
right.
call me whatever you want.
Right.
Do you
That's
know what I
right.
mean?
Yeah,
And when I know I'm helping
And I was
somebody,
gonna say that, and
No,
also when
it's
you
true.
feel that, you know, like you're
I'm
doing
not,
the
you know,
right
I'm
thing.
beyond that.
I think the sun just went through
Yeah.
the
So,
sky.
you know,
I noticed
I'm
something
kind
like
of beyond that.
Yeah.
You reach a certain age where, I was just telling my daughter that
Yeah.
yesterday. I don't care what anyone says about me
Yeah.
anymore. Who cares?
Yeah, I
Who
know.
cares?
No, I got
Do
you.
you know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
I'm with
We
you.
all
I think
got you.
all of us
All
are.
of us are that
It's
way.
like, you know, we know who we
Yeah.
are.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And,
like who
you
cares
know,
anymore?
You know,
Absolutely.
You know, we could have all been dead for 2 years,
that's
right?
right.
Absolutely.
That's
Who
right.
cares?
Absolutely.
Now, did you ask Natasha's questions?
Well,
or?
he had answered them before
Oh, I
I
did.
got
Sorry.
to ask him. No, don't be
Oh,
sorry.
no.
Anya, our audience. Any
but
any questions from the
Because we have
audience?
like 1 minute left.
You in the black.
Yeah, yes.
I feel like you touched on like what a lot of people think. I think that human nature is to want to always validate something.
Yeah.
So I think what you as a profession struggle with, and
Mhm.
even myself, is the need to constantly validate feelings.
Mhm.
The need to constantly validate why you don't have something,
Right.
why something happening to
Mhm.
you. And I think what gets lost in translation is that it's the journey most of the time, not the validation,
Mhm.
right? So essentially what you're telling me from what I'm getting from all of this conversation is it's in the journey.
Mhm.
It's in the not necessarily telling you what you want to hear.
Right.
It's validating why do you have these questions?
Mhm.
What is it that you're looking for? In those questions is where you find your answers.
Mhm.
So maybe it's not that you are giving people what they want to hear, it's that you're helping them find themselves in that journey, and that's what so many people are looking for.
Yeah.
You know?
People are looking. Yes.
2 minutes.
I just want to say one thing. Make sure if you go to a reader, be careful, okay? If any reader ever says this is definite, get up and walk out. Because
Okay.
you change your destiny.
Yes.
Do not go to, and I'm not putting any group down, but be very careful with these gypsy stores.
Right, right.
Because they trick you into giving them money.
Oh,
I've had young
yes.
girls that have given
I've been
$30,000,
fooled.
$40,000.
Yeah.
I worked with the housewives in New Jersey. They tried to take one of my fairs, and one of the girls tried to take. I didn't know she was part of that. They took her almost for $5,000.
Oh my God.
And so be careful who you go to, because people are playing on your feelings.
Yeah, oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And
Now, if
I just
anybody
want-
wanted to get a reading from
Oh,
you,
yeah.
where
Right,
can they
I was
find
So-
just
you?
gonna say that.
you can email me at Mickey Mickey Reed 1953 at gmail.com, or you can call me at 516-582-9809. I do house parties, individuals. We could do. I'm doing any kind of birthday parties. It's fun.
Oh, it
okay?
is fun.
And
Absolutely.
I don't scare anyone. I don't tell anybody when they're gonna die, so don't ask me that. 'Cause I don't do that.
That's really good.
I already
Well,
know. That was my next question.
Wait, well, we got, Mickey,
Do we have any time?
thank you.
Oh, yeah.
No, we ran out of
Did
time.
you
We have
enjoy it?
1 minute.
Thank
That was very good, very informative.
That was great.
That
Thank
was,
you.
yeah.
I
Thank you
enjoyed
for
it.
coming.
All right.
here. No,
Yes,
I
it was
appreciate
great.
it. What I'll do is I'll keep one of these, I'll take a
Yeah,
picture of
take a couple.
it, okay.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, a screenshot.
And you have to send me the link.
I absolutely
Okay.
will. Well, Peggy,
Okay.
Peggy's our computer person, so she'll be uploading it.
Okay,
Then
I will.
send it to you.
So
Alrighty.
is it good?
We
Was
have
that-
15 seconds.
I
Is
love
that
it.
it? Say goodbye. Yes.
God bless you all.
Say goodbye.
And
Okay.
don't forget about Sherlock, my foster dog.
He's not going anywhere.
Okay, bye everyone.
Okay.